I love that secret space program, SSP.
Yeah, it's a great name.
Because statutory sick pay
Yes.
is also SSP. And I like the fact that a lot of people who are really into this clearly have never had a job.
Do not get those two things mixed up. Hello, welcome to Believe. I'm Phil Green.
And I'm David Ferguson.
And this is a podcast all about the world's craziest myths and conspiracy theories, isn't it?
It is.
Good. I thought there'd be more. There isn't any more. This is a podcast all about the world's craziest myths and conspiracy theories. In each episode, we bring on a guest. That guest has picked a myth or conspiracy they want to talk about. It might be something they believe. It might be something they don't believe. It might just be something they've heard about and they need two people to make sense of it. And that is what we do, isn't it?
That is what we do. We get to the truth.
And this one is spacey.
Oh, yeah. It's out of this world.
Yeah. It's been a long day. It's been a very long day.
Sorry.
If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a little 5-star review, whether you are listening to us on Apple or Spotify, or maybe you're watching us on YouTube. Give us a nice little review if you're watching us on YouTube. We just need a little 5 stars and a nice little line saying how much you love us.
Yeah, because, we're comedians. We want to be loved. Also, it really helps us keep doing this show.
Yes, it does.
And we're so close to world domination.
We are
we
so
feel
close. So close to world domination.
We want that.
Very in theme with this episode. Also, I am doing a little mini tour of my award-nominated show, A Broken Man's Guide to Fixing Others. If you would like your life changed, please come along. I have a few dates left on the tour. I'm going to be going to Glasgow, Southampton, Stratford-upon-Avon and Sudbury over the next few weeks. Please come along. There'll be a link in the show note, or you can go to philgreencomedy.com, and it'll be life-changing, won't it?
It absolutely life-changing. And it will make your life better, because it's made my life better. I've seen it so many times.
Yeah, he has seen it so many times.
So many times.
What it says on the tin. Right, now, George, we beamed him down.
We have.
We put him in his little seat.
We have.
And he's ready to go.
It looks like he is.
He's ready to run this program.
Ready to run.
Right. And who is today's amazing guest?
Today's amazing guest is legendary.
I think we could say so.
Steve Hall.
Yes, Steve is a fantastic stand-up comedian and writer who has opened for the likes of Lee Mack, Bill Burr, Frank Skinner and Russell Howard. He's performed at Wembley Arena, the O2 and the Albert Hall. He has also taken many well-received shows to the Edinburgh Festival. He was also 1/3 of legendary sketch troupe We Are Clang, who I loved back in the day, with Greg Davies and Merritt Larwood. He was a regular guest on the Frank Skinner Show and has appeared on The Rest Is History, Act Your Age and My Teenage Diary for BBC Radio 4. He is a man of many, many talents, isn't he?
He is. He's glorious, in fact.
He's glorious and a fascinating person to talk to. And what is a myth or conspiracy that Steve has chosen?
Steve has chosen the Secret Space Program.
The Secret Space Program.
Ooh.
It's secret. And it's in space.
It's out of this world.
Let's bring on Steve.
Get out of the rabbit hole.
It's a fake. Every single bird in the sky is a robot.
It's fiction.
Doubt your government.
It's an urban legend.
Like if they're actually spraying something in the sky.
No way.
A stream of absurdity.
It's a total fabrication.
Welcome to the podcast, Steve Hall!
Yay!
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
That's all right. How are you, sir?
I'm very well.
Good.
We're in Deptford. I don't often get to Deptford.
This is a long way from home for you, isn't it?
Yeah. So I used to live in Bow, and so it's nice, southeast London. I like it very much.
Yes. But now you're in like Oxford, right?
Yeah, I live in Oxford now. So,
Okay.
so-
Did you travel away from Oxford for us?
yeah. But it's a chance for I can get away from the family.
I thought you had young kids for some reason, and you just said that they're not. They're 10, 11, right?
Yeah. So
Teenagers.
they're very close together in age.
yeah, there's 19 months.
Right.
And we kind of thought, well, let's get it out of the way. So we had, we had utter chaos for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's still utter chaos.
Right.
My daughter uses a wheelchair, and so it's a lot more labour intensive.
Of course, yeah.
Because I have to push her to and from school.
Right.
Which is a 2-mile walk.
Yeah.
And there was one week when my wife was at a conference, so I had to do it both drop off and pick up.
Yeah.
So I was doing 8 miles a day, and I was really proud of myself, thinking I've done. I spoke to my mum and I said I've done 40 miles this week just picking Polly up from school, and my mum went, "Oh, maybe you'll finally lose some weight." That's the perfect thing. That's the thing that I want to hear.
That's such a mum comment as well.
Yeah. And I'm fairly average.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sitting there
not...
thinking, where?
Yeah.
Oh, that's harsh. Okay, fair enough. Are any of them likely to follow you into comedy, do you think?
No, they're funny, but my wife's a psychologist, and they seem they're empathy machines.
Right. Okay.
this is you know, when kids are funny, but in a way that is completely not usable in life. Like
Yes.
you want, like as a comic, I want them to produce material.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But I had a thing where, because we taught our kids about swearing, I didn't want them to have it used as bullying against them.
Yeah.
So I wanted them to understand what the words meant,
Yeah.
so no one could bully them or tease them, but also they knew the power of these words. So they've always had that in mind, and they know the rule was you can't say these words outside the house. Yeah. That was the rule. And particularly because Polly's had so many operations, every time she was told she needed another operation, she's allowed to shout, "Fuck my life."
Right.
So all that. Then summer or two ago, we were at a garden party for my wife's psychology department. So we're meeting various posh, impressive people I'd never met before, which had to this really delightful married couple, both psychology professionals, and it's an afternoon thing, so the kids are running around playing games, and out of nowhere, my daughter runs up and to these people she's never met before says, "I know what the N-word is," and then there's a pause as the universe seems to stop spinning for a moment, and then she says, "But I'm only allowed to say it inside the house." And that had genuinely nothing to do with me. It turned out there was an American kid at school who'd they hadn't said the word, but they'd sort of said it sounds like this, but also only black people are allowed to say it.
Right,
so,
yeah.
So utterly bewildering.
Okay.
But
so they now think of you as the racist family.
Yeah. And of course, who are people going to believe? The piece of shit comedian or the charming, delightful psychologist?
Yeah.
But it really made it sound like, "Hey kids, we're nearly home if you're really good."
Do you know what's odd? If it was like you and your work colleagues or your world of comedians, it probably would be fine. But because it's her world, your wife's world, that's very sort of professional and,
Exactly, yeah. It's funny because we moved to Oxford she got a research post, so we moved there during lockdown. And it's interesting living in Oxford because with the anti-vax, or in terms of conspiracy theory world, a lot of people we've met in Oxford have been active in developing both vaccines, but also there's a big AI community in Oxford as well. So it's this weird thing where you're in the epicenter of a lot of things that the world is not particularly happy about.
Yeah.
And then it's very interesting when you meet the human side of these people who are like really upset that they are putting their heart and soul into developing a vaccine, let's say.
Yeah.
And there are people like going, "You're evil." And you go, "No, I'm Nigel."
Yeah, I thought you were about to say the huge community of anti-vaxxers there as well. But
no, it's more. Yeah, it's the AI one is more interesting because every now and then, like I was doing a pub quiz with some of the parents from my kids' school, and there's a few of them who they clearly work in AI, and they're very, very vague about what their job actually is, and you can tell. Like one of them said, "Oh yeah, it's stuff like the American government's involved."
This
that
feeds
sort
the
of thing.
Conspiracy, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's just so, cause it's so ambiguous as well.
Yeah, and obviously they're presumably under various non-disclosure agreements that they can't say so. But the vagueness adds to the suspicion. And then on top of that, because Mick Herron, who wrote Slow Horses and all that, he lives in Oxford. And his first set of novels, the one that Emma Thompson's in the adaptation of, that's set in Oxford. And there are houses he describes where some of the parents are like going, "Oh yeah, I've always thought that was a safe house."
Oh my God.
And it's like, whereas I'm trying to find like where's the best bakery?
Yeah.
Or is there I can't find a decent curry in Oxford anywhere, but there are people like going, "Oh yeah, that's definitely a spy house." Yeah. You see, they'll always go, "Oh yeah, there's always Chinese students there." And you're going, could that just be because they're students? Go, no, there's something going on.
But that's the thing, you can find conspiracy anywhere, can't you?
Yeah,
If you're looking for it, and if that's your mindset as well, I think it does. Have you met people who previously have kind of been fairly normal, and then they've sort of switched, or you've noticed?
Yeah. It's interesting. Obviously, some of them within the comedy community are sort of, and obviously, and it's interesting. I know there was someone, I won't say the person, but there was someone whose ex-partner said, like, at what point did your former partner fall off and get obsessed with it? And they said it was the day he bought an iPhone.
Really?
That was the thing that he was up all night, and it was just this world, but literally the lack of sleep, and then was just completely obsessed with
the
it.
rabbit hole.
But it's interesting because, like, so some of this is to do with my age. So I was 15 when JFK came out, the film, and so I that was my first big obsession.
Yeah.
So I love, and because there's so much to that, there are so many little details that it's quite an entertaining.
Oh yeah, it's probably my favorite Kevin Costner movie because I think he's a very limited actor.
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
kinda
he's great.
You believe him when he's like crying, like oh.
I think it's Werner Herzog says one of the things he recommends his any students or people trying to be creative. He said read the Warren Report because he said it's a brilliant. Story, like the way, not as in not a fiction, but the way it unfolds. It's a brilliant crime novel. It's a terrific read, and it's really inspiring.
Werner Herzog would say that.
Yeah.
But one of the most interesting things about the Warren Report is that it does genuinely conclude that there was likely a conspiracy, as in they use that word, they use that terminology, and it was likely that there wasn't one actor, it wasn't one person acting alone, which is what makes it such a fascinating. And we kind of, because it was so long after the assassination, I think people at the time didn't really consciously take it in. Whereas I think now, if a report like that was published, if let's say it was a few years ago, and
or the Epstein files.
Yeah, but Epstein files. Look how quick we are onto the Epstein files and what the details of that.
Yeah, and so there's so many, because so for example, Herzog did a very small, not a document, it was like a 10-minute bit about the Umbrella Man.
Yes.
Yes.
And
he helped bring it to prominence.
Yeah, and I love it. Isn't the backstory that this bloke, he was protesting against something JFK's dad had done?
That was his story. Yeah.
And so whether or not that's true is but what I love about it is it's perfect for like an ADHD comedian brain where there are so many different directions you can go in. And it's an interestingly bizarre. He was like, because what was his dad like? Ambassador to the court of King James or some spurious thing. But it makes it even more entertaining where you can go in different. And particularly at the age of 15, the Zapruder footage is about as graphic a thing as you could ever possibly see. And I realised, like in the days before Rotten.com or anything like that, those of us who were into the JFK stuff when it came out, we were seeing a man's head explode.
Yep.
And it's weird now because obviously the footage then wasn't great, and now the motion stabilized footage of it is fucking horrific. Yeah. Like it's astonishingly awful.
It's an awful thing that happened.
And I remember watching. I mean, so I was also at school when JFK came out. You were as well, and I remember being shown it in school, and I think they show the Zapruder footage in the.
Oh yeah, I saw the Zapruder footage. I can. We had it in our history department. I remember the teacher, and I don't want to say his name because like he doesn't know it. But he had it on like 8mm film.
Oh yeah.
He showed us that,
which is the coolest way to watch it.
It was the coolest way. Like, and we like pulling down the blinds, and where we were was the top of the building, and it was like an old castle-like building, and there was pigeons nesting, and so there was all this noise from the pigeons as we watched this silent film with the clicking. It was. I mean, I've never. I realized it was real. That's why I love Jackie Onassis. That's why I love Jackie O, because of all the things she went through. And I think she's such a great woman. But so someone's.
Do you think that film? Because I think that film for our generation was a very pivotal time that it came out.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't. So we're only talking 92, 93-ish around that. And then it was probably only around about 8 years or so before YouTube became a thing. Yeah. And I think. For our generation, the reason I think that is quite a turning point in JFK. I think it's the point that made people start to question what we're told and the news media narrative. Yeah. And then YouTube came along and fueled it, and we were the first generation to adopt that.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting with YouTube, like getting ready for this podcast. I've trashed my YouTube algorithm.
You'll be fucked for months now.
And my kids, because they use my account, so every now and then. There was a thing on, a mate of mine was working on Fantasy Football League, and there was a tune they couldn't work out. The one that goes, we scored a goal, we scored a goal, we scored a goal. And they couldn't work out what song it came from. Yeah. So I went on this deep dive to work it out. It spent me 8, because I knew it as a Southampton fan. I knew it as, we're fucking shit, we're fucking shit. And I finally worked out it's men without hats. Who did Safety Dance, but they've got a song called Pop Goes the World, and it was a big hit in Europe, and it would go, Pop Goes the World, Pop Goes the World. Okay. And so I found it, and my mates on Fantasy Football League were delighted, but I'd stayed up so late that when the kids in the morning put YouTube on, the thing in the search bar was, we're fucking shit. And so similarly, they're gonna be asking me. Like,
Yeah, I could also see where your daughter's getting this stuff from.
yeah. But because it's the other. So I've got various notes I can refer to because another big thing for me in terms of the world of conspiracy through the year 2000, Sacred Cow Productions. You could order from America VHSs of Bill Hicks stuff that wasn't available anywhere else.
Yes.
So one of them, Sane Man at the time, wasn't available, but there was also Ninja Robitussin Party, his gonzo film that he made.
Yeah.
There was him at Waco, just self-shot, and there was him on public access TV.
Yeah.
And these were all, and you could only get, but at the time, because it was quite expensive to get it over, the other things you could buy from that website that I bought were Joe Rogan in the Belly of the Beast, his special from 2000.
Wow.
And the Best of Alex Jones.
Wow.
So you used it from the same...
And it was a very different thing. Alex Jones was a very different beast in 2000.
Yes.
From the same place you could get those three things. And interestingly, the Joe Rogan special, because I flogged it on eBay for about 30 quid. Because when they put it to DVD, they removed certain things because... Part of the gig that he does, some girls, he basically says to these girls, like, you can get on stage with me if you get your tits out. So there's a length, but these girls are topless on stage with Joe Rogan for minutes on end.
Yeah.
And it has not aged well. He doesn't come across like a bad dude.
Yeah.
But it's awkward.
He enables their terrible behavior.
Yeah. And then the other thing that's part of it that's been removed is there's just a break where before the gig he goes for a lengthy walk around wherever he's playing with Alex Jones, and they're clearly pals, and so it's so interesting the different the diverging
absolutely
paths.
Yeah, we're fascinated by the different directions they've gone. I mean, in a sense, they both have kind of stayed on theme to a certain extent, but Alex Jones has gone so like wayward. And we've talked about him a lot on this podcast, you might imagine.
Yeah.
We've never really got to the bottom of whether or not he actually believes what he's saying or he knows that this continues to build his profile. And you know, the sensationalized.
This is the fascinating thing. So the world of the grift, like you follow the money and so on.
Yeah.
So one of the big things about InfoWars, because the stuff that gets retweeted and so on is obviously the sensationalist stuff. It's the
Turning the frogs gay.
Yeah. So the famous clips. But the bulk of InfoWars programming is them hawking nutraceuticals.
Yeah.
So you follow the money each time, and the money, it's the amount of stuff being pushed. And you see this with obviously the subject we'll talk about, that it's interesting trying to separate out what you think could be true.
Yes.
And separating it from the grifter.
Yes.
At the center of things.
Yeah.
Well, in 2000, Alex Jones was pretty much legitimate. It's maybe not the right word, but he was definitely earnest. It was definitely, he had integrity then. He hadn't quite sold out. And Joe Rogan as well famously said he wants to know about everything. I mean, the idea that Joe Rogan is an asset that's been bought out. You know, like he didn't believe that the moon landing was happening, then all of a sudden he did. Like, I mean, but also in the course of like 15, 20 years of doing the podcast, you know, he can change his point of view. But like, he is friends with Alex Jones.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the things I love about you saying about Bill Hicks and Alex Jones both selling videos. It was Sacred Cow, wasn't it? Yeah. So there's this whole conspiracy that Alex Jones is in fact Bill Hicks.
Yeah,
but but I'm like, no, they were concurrent. Like, because I remember that in real time. Because I remember like Bill Hicks talking about the others. You know, there's more to life. You know, it's just a ride. That brilliant piece that he does.
Well, he was quite conspiratorial in a way, wasn't he? He was certainly a stoker.
Yeah. Well, even the fact that he drove to Waco and it's just him, they're chatting about it.
Yeah.
That fascination.
Yes. It would have been really interesting to know, had he lived, what direction he would have gone in when it came in the way that conspiracy has been popularised now. It'd be fascinating to see what direction he
Well, I
gone.
remember his buddy Dwight Slade said that he thinks Hicks would have done a commercial, but for like an animal charity.
Yeah.
Like that he thinks he'd have gone down the sort of like buy some land and rescue
makes
abused
sense.
animals, that sort of vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard people refer to Bill Hicks as a prophet, and it's sort of weird to talk about him now because it was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But I remember as a teenager, like if he was on Channel 4, because he blew up in the UK first before he became worldwide, even though he's an American comedian, a US comedian. Like I remember was, oh my, Bill Hicks is on such and such tonight. You got to watch it. You know,
It would have been Channel 4.
It would have been Channel 4. But like I you know, and then Dennis Leary copied one of his specials almost word for word, and it was still great.
Yeah.
You know, there's no cure for cancer. But it's like if you can see them back to back, he ripped off the man.
Yeah.
But like Bill Hicks, like there's a comic book called Preacher, which was a TV series for a while, but Preacher by Garth Ennis, is a countryman of mine. He has a moment where the main character Preacher sees Bill Hicks at a comedy show, and he says he saw a prophet for the first time. You know, and that's sort of. I mention it just to say that that's how people thought about Bill Hicks. And I wish he was Alex Jones, but he's not.
Yeah.
There's a lovely. I don't know if you know Nick Doody, fabulous comedian. Nick, I think he talks about it in one of his podcasts that Nick does. He had for years he'd wrestled with whether or not to put this footage out, and finally puts it out, and it's charming. But I understand why he didn't put it out. That in 1992, for his student newspaper, he interviews Bill Hicks.
Yes,
and he's got the audio recording of it. And in the interview, he mentions that he does stand up, and Hicks says, "What do you want to come and open for me?" And he's like. And you can hear like he responds the way we would respond, but it's like stunned excitement and panic. And he goes, "Oh, I'm in a play," which is like the kind of the thing you wouldn't want to say.
Yeah.
But then he like realizes what he's doing and like says yes to it. And then plays the recording of the set that he does, and he's so. I mean, he's done
comedian.
He's done in less than 50 gigs.
Right,
sort of.
right.
And it's like he kind of garbles his words, where he's like, "It's a stage to welcome this honour."
Right.
It's not exactly that, but it's so lovely because Hicks comes across like such a lovely bloke.
Yes.
And Nick is just adorable.
Yeah.
But it's this such a because he was gone like most of us were watching it on telly.
Yeah.
So very few of us have that tangible link to him.
Yeah.
Whereas Nick Doody, who is an unbelievably good comic, but can also say he opened for Bill Hicks.
Yeah. God. 50 gigs in. Can you just imagine?
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Anyway, okay, so the secret space program. The idea of a hidden or secret space program has become a persistent theme in modern conspiracy culture. According to its proponents, governments, particularly those of technologically advanced nations, have developed clandestine space fleets off world bases or advanced propulsion technologies far beyond publicly known capabilities. Mainstream science and investigative journalism have found no credible evidence supporting these claims. The concept remains influential in online communities, alternative media, and speculative fiction. So this is quite a big one, actually, because there's a lot in this.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating that after we agreed, like very shortly after we agreed that this would be the subject.
Yeah.
Truth Social.
Yes.
This week, where Trump has pledged, seemingly slightly in response to Obama.
Yes.
Has pledged to release loads of files.
Yes, he has. Yeah. And actually, you're right. The Obama quote, and for anyone who hasn't heard it, is that Obama, in a very quick fire interview on a podcast, was asked if aliens exist, and he said yes, they did, but not in the way that we think of them.
Yeah.
And then had to release a statement post the podcast to kind of caveat his words. But obviously, as a conspiracy theorist, you're immediately on that. You're like, well, obviously they exist. Because of all the presidents to say it, Obama's the one you would not think would come out with it, right?
Yeah. And it's always interesting, but the way you're so scrutinised in that job. So every phrase, the different meanings. So like when Trump said to the Proud Boys, "Stand back and stand by."
Yes, yeah.
Those words, the exact wording gets scrutinised from both sides.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah. And so it's whereas you wonder if Obama's going, "Oh fuck, I fucked up there."
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if he'd have just gone, "I don't know."
yeah. But when Trump says it, because it's in the melee of all of this absolute nonsense, it's sort of taken with a pinch of salt. I think if it had come from Trump, people would have gone, "Okay, well, he probably meant it, but he didn't mean it." But when it comes from someone like Obama, who is such a great speech maker and really thinks about his words and is much more considered in what he says, it has a bigger impact. I think.
Totally, yeah. And because if Obama wasn't part of this, if Trump had just said, if Obama had been silent, and Trump suddenly made this announcement,
Yeah.
you'd be thinking, oh, I wonder what you're deflecting from.
Yeah, absolutely.
What could possibly be in the news that you don't want to...
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
Unless it turned out that alien life had been on Epstein's island.
Which, you know, why not? Everything else is in there.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah, like the Epstein files. Not all of them have been released, and it's the motherload of conspiracy.
Let's face it, if people know about these sorts of aliens, some of them will have definitely visited Epstein Island. There'll be some of them. There'll be a crossover there.
Yeah.
There should be some horrible picture of Mandelson getting a hand job from a 12-tentacled alien. But that's the thing. That obviously, the Epstein files are proof. You know, things that were dismissed as ridiculous, not very long ago, have been proved to be correct.
Well, that's sort of the thing with the Epstein files. Like everything that all the smoke now has fire, and even if things haven't been proven by it, it also shows that there is a massive conspiracy.
Yeah.
You know, and I was right. So like, it's such an interesting time because it's also all real now. Like there's terrible things.
Yeah, because it's so fucking horrific. I was trying to remember when I had a memory. I knew that John Prescott hated Peter Mandelson, and I was trying to remember
vividly
when. At what year was it that there was John Prescott was holding up a crab in a jar, and he says we call him Peter, and I was wondering at what point in the Labour leadership that was August 1997. It was only a short while before Diana died, so from almost 30 years ago, good old fashioned rank and file Labour hated Mandelson.
Yeah,
well, he was called the Prince of Dark.
And
there's a reason for that? You know,
I've always assumed that that there must be some MI6 thing. Like I don't know what it would be, but if it turned out that he was in some way an MI6 operative, Mandelson, if there was something more to it beyond just. In the same way that people suspect Epstein, and I'm basing this on this is pure. But in the same way that people think Epstein is Mossad or KGB,
he was definitely. Epstein was definitely an asset. Who was an asset for? Is up for debate, and I can't say. I mean, Mossad seems to be the most obvious because of Ghislaine Maxwell. Because her father was a Mossad asset, but that doesn't mean that Epstein is, and it's all very muddy and horrible, and the Epstein files are not fun reading, and I wish I wasn't into conspiracy theories.
It would be great if the Epstein files revealed that Mandelson himself was an alien. That would be fantastic.
Well, he does look like he's wearing a skin.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of my things with conspiracy theories, exactly like you say. At times when I would get into a thing, there's a point at which I'd be like, this is too much. I would often, for whatever reason, in the case of the Epstein files, the utter horror of it is a good reason to back out. But with some of the grifters, there comes a while where you're just like, God, this is such self-serving bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're doing this now, and it's proven. But you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because particularly with this one, where this. Like I love that secret space program SSP.
Yeah, it's a great name.
Because statutory sick pay is also SSP. And I like the fact that a lot of people who are really into this clearly have never had a job.
Do not get those two things mixed up.
It's like Frozen from Disney. You know, Disney Frozen. It obscures the fact that Disney was frozen.
Yeah, I don't think they were thinking that when they came up with this though. No. So the foundations of the secret space program stories can be traced to Cold War era, where secrecy surrounding aerospace development was extensive. Governments routinely classified experimental aircraft, satellite technologies, and missile systems. Programs such as stealth aircraft development maintained hidden for years before public disclosure. The climate of secrecy created fertile ground for speculation. If some projects were concealed successfully, how many resonated that even more advanced programs could still exist in the shadows, which I guess is true, right? We did, but that's the thing about Cold War stuff, is that, of course, a lot of it didn't come to light until after the Cold War. And there's still stuff that probably will never come to light. But I guess the fact that the public then knew stuff was hidden from them for decades kind of adds this fuel to this, doesn't it, really? Yeah,
it's interesting, like the mixture of fiction and things that come to light later on, true things. It's a really interesting intertwining of things. So you've got the brilliant conspiracy theory films of the 70s that come out of that complete loss of trust when kids are being sent to Vietnam to die for nothing. And so we've got some cracking cinema out of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Parallax View.
Yeah.
Clute.
It's my
All the
favorite
President's
era of film for that reason. So it's hugely conspiratorial and some absolutely wonderful films came out of it.
And so one of the things, Alternative 3, I'd not heard of this until I was doing my notes for this. I had never heard of Alternative 3, the documentary.
Yep.
And independent of whether people believe conspiracy theories or not, it's a terrific program.
Yes.
It's it's on. You can get it on. It's on Amazon Prime. And it's
Other broadcasters are available.
and because it's a British-made, Anglia TV make this documentary that sets up this idea that there are secret plans to colonize Mars.
Yes.
To deal with the imminent end of the world due to climate change.
Yeah.
So that being made in 1977,
Way ahead.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and then it's kind of weird. It's a really entertaining watch, and people believed it to be true because in other countries it wasn't played on April Fool's Day. So at the end credits, it says Anglia TV, April 1st, 1977, and the actors are credited. They're so it's got it's got the title of the character and the actor that they play.
Right.
So it would be you would understand it's a ghost watch type
absolutely.
thing. But because apparently due to industrial action, it didn't get
Played on
it didn't get played on April the 1st. And then it got shown in other countries. But also, so when you watch it as a British
wonderful.
person, it's very obviously very mannered British acting.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're an American seeing that, you don't necessarily see that it's obviously slightly lovey old thesps really getting into their role.
Yeah.
And most of the cast don't go on. They're not that well known. The most identifiable, one of the important characters is played by someone who was in every episode of A Low, A Low. So Richard Marner, who played one of the Nazis in A Low, A Low. So it's kind of mind blowing to see that, and he absolutely nails it. And his thing was apparently he decided to not learn his lines too well.
Yeah.
so
that it's way more naturalistic,
yeah,
his performance, than some of the other very stilted.
Which is smart, actually. I think that's. I mean, I'm very aware of it because it came up when I was looking at this, but haven't actually seen it. But it would be a bit like Ghostwatch not going out on Halloween, right?
Yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Ghostwatch was a kind of
mockumentary. But when that wasn't really a thing. I mean,
before it was the thing that went out in the early 90s, every school kid that watched it believed it at the time.
Was it
so
Pipes? Was that?
Pipes,
And it was very professionally done. It had Michael Parkinson presenting,
Sarah Green
in a kind of crime watch style. And it was, and there was no way at the time, was there, kind of knowing, you couldn't look up, what is this real?
Exactly, yeah. No. Well, and then it achieved tabloid notoriety because sadly, a troubled teenager who watched died by suicide soon after. So, but that's extremely unfortunate.
Yes.
But it's a fucking brilliant program.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and still is. I watched it only a few years ago again, and it still stands up. Yeah. It's great.
It's because you're watching it and you believe it's Parkinson, who a notable figure in the UK, and a TV presenter, Sarah Green, who was trusted on kids television. So you're thinking this feels very, very real.
Because it's less, because with those British type programs, it's less shiny than American.
It's a bit grotty.
There's a grittiness about it, a sort of realism about it.
And it ends with, because Pipes has been haunting this house, it ends as if somehow Pipes has taken over the entire broadcasting network.
So cool.
So it's a really chilling ending.
And there's and Sarah Green looks genuinely afraid because she was genuinely afraid. When the fireworks went off too quickly, it shocked her. So you get all that.
It is wonderful.
And so it's so fascinating. So it would be like if someone believed that, if 30 years later someone was like...
People did believe, like, not only were there complaints at the time, like years later going, well, the BBC said this was a setup, but it was actually true. Which is also what gets said about Alternative 3.
Yeah. And obviously, because further back, the BBC, there was the 60s mockumentary where they've got spaghetti growing on trees, and it's one of their first April Fool's pranks. So it is fascinating, the idea that, with Alternative 3, the idea that someone might be going, spaghetti does grow on trees.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the bloke who wrote the script to Alternative 3 is a bloke called David Ambrose, and he goes on to write a film called Taffin, starring.
Taffin?
So Piers Brosnan is in Taffin. It's from 1988, and the only reason people know Taffin these days is Adam and Joe got obsessed with it, and Adam Buxton. There's a lovely bit of them discussing it on YouTube, but it's got the line where Piers Brosnan really over enunciates the line, "Well, maybe you shouldn't be living here." And Adam Buxton gets obsessed with that. But I love the fact that script, the script for Taffin, was written by the same bloke who wrote Alternative 3, which is kind of indirectly responsible for a lot of this.
Absolutely. Also, that's such an Adam and Joe thing to do as well. I can absolutely see that in my head.
The 90s.
So the core claims and themes of this, so hidden technological breakthroughs. Advocates often argue that governments possess advanced propulsion systems, sometimes described as anti-gravity or zero-point energy devices, capable of interplanetary or interstellar travel. These technologies are said to be suppressed to maintain geopolitical control or economic dominance. So we've kind of touched on this before, haven't we, in terms of, we've done the podcast for where notable people, politicians, heads of state, some celebrities, the way they get around, this technology is rumored to be the reason they're able to get from place to place so quickly.
Yeah,
Yes.
they have to go to Antarctica, and
Not private jets. Just,
Yeah.
Well, why would they fly like the hoi polloi?
Well, true.
Why would they travel?
I mean, if it's available to you, you take it.
Oh, absolutely.
What I love about this one is one of the key figures, Corey Good, who
Yes.
I'm reading, but one of the key figures at the centre of this. He just lumps everything at it. So,
Yeah, he does,
there's a bit of secret technology,
Yeah.
but there's a bit of time travel in there as well.
Yeah.
And then there's a bit of like, we are the solar warden protecting the universe, the solar system against these alien attackers. So it's like everything. It reminds me of like Jay from The In-Betweeners, where he he keeps throwing something in, and and it's like, I served in that 20 and back troop. Yeah, I got wanked off by an alien. Like it's and when you commit to the bit so wholeheartedly, it becomes hard. It becomes difficult to.
You can't back down.
Yeah,
can you?
and that's the point where I back out. Like I've watched bits of him, and then I have to have a cup of tea and watch an episode of Bluey or something like that to try and
Balance it out.
to try and detox. Because like when watching his thing, so I studied philosophy and theology at university, and part of that I did the sociology of religion was one paper and the psychology of religion was another. And it's interesting how many things reminded me of things I studied when reading those papers. So we did a whole big thing on Jonestown, and that thing that televangelists do it as well, and Corey Good does it as well, where again, going back to what we were saying about Alex Jones with the nutraceutical money, it's constantly asking his audience for money.
Yeah.
So there's Kickstarters where he's wanting to we need this for this comic book artist, and we need this script writer, we need this technology, but keep giving me the money, and I can keep telling you more.
Yes,
about
absolutely.
how I spent 20 years serving for this interstellar protection crew, and then I got de-aged and returned back to exactly the same moment in time.
Yeah.
But and so there's elements of Narnia with that, because when they go to Narnia, they grow up, they grow old as
They become monarchs.
Yeah, and then they return and they're children again.
Yes.
So Corey Good has taken the Narnia trick, but in his case, it's like they wiped my brain, but I remembered.
Yes.
There's one man whose memory can't be wiped, and it's me, which is Total Recall.
Yeah.
So it's this weird melding of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Cohagen, give them air.
There's so much science fiction and fantasy in this, isn't there? That and I think you're absolutely right. And the people that Corey Good is probably the most prominent one. There's also David Wilcock, but there are some that have fueled it who are ex. So there's one guy called William Tompkins. So he was a former aerospace insider, and there's a few people who are like that it comes from, where there's a little bit of sort of kudos to, there's a little bit more weight to what they say because they've been in this industry.
Yeah.
So whether or not they're fueling it for money or gain, probably some of them are, don't know. But Corey Good is not one of those people. He's just a fantasist.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's lots of this on Reddit, and it's kind of interesting seeing, because a few people places on Reddit were saying that the community kind of turned on him. So there was a while where he was the most popular one, and then people started saying this is nonsense, and then supposedly
too close to the sun.
That someone supposedly like one of his defenses was, but this is my intellectual property, because he's trademarked a number of the phrases. So they're like, you're making this all up.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's my story.
Yeah.
So it's a weird sort of self-own, because people were trying to muscle in and sort of go, I was part of the 20 and back as well.
Yeah.
Do you remember me? We fought outside Pluto. Like it's
Yes. Yeah. Go back to the J for the in-betweeners.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so some of the things on Reddit, someone wrote, I'm 88% sure it's a hoax. It's such a specific number.
It's a fair bit of room for manoeuvre there, though, isn't it? 12%.
And obviously, because one of the things, because Spielberg's got this film coming out
Yes.
this year.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Disclosure. And so there's various jargonistic things that you have to know. So it's one of the reasons, again, it's quite, I understand why it becomes all-encompassing, but also why people get turned away from it, because there are so many phrases. Oh, you don't know Solar Warden, you don't know disclosure. There are so many that once you get
insider language.
Yeah, and so much of it sounds like like a conversation you overhear when you walk past a games workshop in a city centre at 7 p.m. at night.
Yeah,
like
absolutely
these
right.
Snatches
Absolutely
of
right.
wonderfully nerdy conversation.
Absolutely.
And I walked in those worlds. I'm not dissing those worlds at all.
No.
It is kind of adorable, but it is like when you go, oh, you mean this? Okay.
Yeah. But they're not necessarily doing any harm. I think it depends on the way that you're spreading it, and if you're actively spreading it as fact. I guess if they're doing it within their own community, I don't know what damage it's necessarily doing. But I also think these are people that want to believe. They want to believe in a narrative outside of the mainstream.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't this, it would just be something else.
Well, and it's what fascinates me is like it's so the commonality between the different. So the way they talk about giving money reminded me of the televangelists, but that belief that. Which is a reasonable belief that there are things we're not being told.
Yep.
We all know that's been proved many, many times over. There are plenty of things we're not being told.
Yeah.
But obviously they've taken it in a very specific direction here.
Yeah.
And so it reminds me of like Doctor Who fans are obsessed, because there are 97 missing episodes of Doctor Who, and there are various very well-meaning organisations that are trying to get in touch with elderly collectors to sort of go, we think you might have something. In some cases, they might have worked in the TV industry. And so some of them, it's a brilliant thing they're doing.
Things have been turned up with that. Like, because I back in the day, I was part of the Bring Doctor Who Back to TV.
Yeah.
I bought there was a terrible record, Doctor Who SOS. I remember buying it.
And so there's various people who are regarded as suspicious because certain people think they have missing episodes and they're not telling anyone. They're either holding them to ransom because they want some money, or they're doing it and it's well, no, nobody recognises that I'm the best Doctor Who collector of all time, so nobody's gonna,
exclusivity.
It's my ball. I'm taking it home.
There is definitely that amongst collectors.
I
have it, and therefore I don't care if anyone else is happy. It's mine.
Because there's like of the stuff that's missing from the 60s. There's a TV show, not a Doctor Who thing, where there's an early appearance from Bob Dylan. It's like a BBC play for today that Dylan's in, but people only want Doctor Who, so they're like, fuck the rest of the stuff. And I know there was someone was telling me that one of these institutions that was trying to find the missing episodes, they got a death threat because someone was convinced, like, you know more than you're letting on, and if you don't spread the knowledge, if you don't share what you've got, things are going to get bad for you. And it reminded me so much of the conspiracy theory world of like, all that thing of like, I've hacked into your computers. I know that there's more than you're letting on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Well, like as a collector, I'm a collector of many things because I'm not happy in life, and you do get very like, it's mine, and you don't understand. I'm the true fan and all.
Yeah, of course. There's a competitive nature to it.
Yeah, and also some people are full of shit, and you're the one that knows the stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Well, because I remember hearing you guys, because you talked about the Orson Welles, The War of the Worlds.
Yes, yeah.
I didn't know that apparently when that play was translated and it was broadcast in Ecuador, but having been translated, that when it was revealed to be a hoax, people were so angry they burnt down the radio station.
which is a great, I mean, tragic at the time, but also a great story.
Yeah.
So good as a reaction. So off-world bases and colonies, some narratives assert that secret installations exist on the moon, Mars, or even beyond the solar system. Proponents sometimes claim that astronauts or military personnel participate in missions lasting decades, often invoking concepts like age regression or memory alteration to explain why participants remain anonymous. I mean, it's conceivable, right? This I mean, there's certainly billionaires with enough money to do this. Certainly in the world now, and we also, I mean, Musk has been quite open about the sort of stuff that he wants to do. So I guess if he is talking about now, there must have been billionaires in previous generations who could have done this, just didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the plot to Moonraker.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting how often it comes up in fiction. Don't Look Up's got a similar thing.
Yeah,
They're trying to get off world.
Yes.
2012. It's not Interstellar, but at the end of 2012, where they're building those ships and a very limited number of people can survive. Yeah. So it's a common thing. We're building an escape capsule.
Yes. Contact, yeah, absolutely. But I think Don't Look Up was the end of that is a really good one with the very end. Yeah. But I mean, the end of it where they'd be absolutely were debating who, and they all know they're going to survive because they know that this exists and they know they've got the ties with the big corporation.
And it's always fascinating that it's always a mixture. So it'll be like it always leans into sort of the Aryan genetic engineering element to it. Yes. So it's the most beautiful and gifted, and then some troglodytes who's going to have his pick of these delightful nubile 6 foot tall.
Exactly that, cooperation with non-human intelligence. A subset of believers connects secret space programs with extraterrestrial contact, which we all know Obama knows about. These stories frequently include alleged treaties between governments and alien civilizations, secret exchanges of technology, or covert diplomatic missions. The part of this I love the most was the idea of a treaty between us and aliens. I think that's a wonderful thing.
Well, just because again, going back to Doctor Who, the war between the land and the sea is a similar vibe to this. But I love the idea that there is like some photo opportunity. With you'd have Trump shaking hands with what he thinks is a limb of some tentacled creature.
But I also love the fact that what incentive would the aliens have not to violate the treaty? Like, we're going to take them to our courts by our laws. They're not going to give a fuck.
Well, I mean, it depends which alien race you're talking about.
Well,
because we apparently have various alien races that have visited us, like the tall whites, the greys, which were very famous. You know, the sort of classic alien that you see in South Park and what have you. But the draconians, which are the reptiles, the royal family. It's not everybody that's on our side.
So there was one called the Greada Treaty, I think is how it's pronounced, or Eisenhower Agreement in the 1950s. So they claim that one of the most famous stories is that US President Dwight Eisenhower secretly met extraterrestrial representatives at an air base in the 50s. According to the narrative, the US government allegedly agreed to allow limited human abductions or experimentation, and in return, humanity would receive advanced technology.
Yeah.
Where
did microwaves come from?
Yeah.
The transistor, where did the transistor come from? Plastics.
Yeah. But I love that. Hey, you see this micro? We got this part exchange for a farmer from Nebraska. Did I make a good deal or did I make a good deal?
Just to point out, we didn't kill him, just drilled holes in his
teeth. Yeah. We shoved stuff up his arse. He quite liked it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He was up for it.
Yeah, he's a farmer in Nebraska. He's not going to get that kind of action anywhere else.
There was also Majestic 12 and the Secret Diplomat Pact. So some conspiracy theories revolve around a supposed elite committee called the Majestic 12, allegedly formed to manage extraterrestrial contact after the Roswell incident. So certain versions say this group negotiated treaties or technology exchange with alien visitors. So there's believed there's some documents that surfaced in the 1980s, claims of classified briefings and hidden government archives.
I mean, this is supposed. So obviously Trump is promising to release some archives.
Yes.
So it's always
It'd be great if this came out as part of that. Oh, wouldn't it be wonderful?
I mean, there is part of me that desperately hopes that we're not alone. I also see that if we're not alone, we could just be wiped out.
Yes.
History has taught us these things happen. But the idea that disclosure would happen and that we'd, our space brothers and sisters would be out there. There is part of me that's like, that would be amazing.
It would be amazing.
Yeah. Well, I always whenever I find myself getting into the idea, I become aware that it's like a Deus Ex Machina for given that the world feels especially shafted.
Yes.
So the idea that Vulcans or whoever it might be, that someone could come and go, we've got this. Don't worry, we've got this.
Yeah,
First Contact, Arrival. I just saw Arrival again recently, a movie I totally adore. And the idea that aliens would come down and help us is just amazing.
Yeah.
But,
It's always that, because that thing of because this is, I don't want to blank it because I'm anxious to not sound overly dismissive, but certain people I've known where the conspiracy theory becomes tempting to them because of chaotic, unpleasant things that have happened in their life.
Yes.
But I'm very anxious to not be sweeping with that, because that is not a one description fits all. But there was someone I knew, for example, who had a very shitty piece of a family member died in a car crash, and it was just fucking bad luck. Yeah. And then the next time I saw them, about 18 months later, they were telling me that no planes hit the towers and that they were digitally altered. That it was that literally there were no aircraft there, and it's easy. You can make the link, but it's
it's about making sense of your world and having control. And it certainly helps some people. And
so I find myself often that when everything feels doomed, that romantic idea that there is someone out there who's going to arrive and sort of go, hey, we've got a Hoover. It's going to suck up. All the pollution's going to be gone. Just give us 20 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, while we're, can we have that guy in exchange?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. And all you got to do is kick the
No one
shit.
likes
You've got to
Barry.
kick the shit out of Corey Good. And that's
My favourite of these treaties is the Tau 9 Treaty. Some figures describe a galactic federation and secret diplomatic agreements between Earth governments and extraterrestrial alliances. So this includes space-age non-aggression pacts and agreements regulating contact with humanity until humans reach a certain level of technological or spiritual development.
I like that. But again, that thing of like, come back to me when you're nearly
when
there.
you've got the reading.
But it's like there's a driving test. You've got a spiritual development test. Sorry.
Yeah. There was a Netflix show that I think was along those lines. Oh, it's going to annoy me now. You'll definitely know it. It's a recent series, but it's sort of on those.
Not
vibes.
the 3-body problem.
Yes, 3-body problem. Yeah, that was it. 3-body problem. Yeah. They're kind of waiting, aren't they, for us to sort.
Because that's the interest that so many of these theories reflect the fiction that was popular in their time. I'm not dismissing them all, but so you have theories that develop post-June that are very June-y language, and then some of the stuff in the 90s reflects the X-Files and Star Trek: The Next Generation. So the Heaven's Gate cult, the fact that they use the word away team.
Yes.
When it's so sometimes when you look back on it, it feels quaint because you're like, oh, you like Dana Scully, didn't you? That's why you were saying those things.
Yeah.
You fancy Gillian Anderson.
And we can never really separate that, can we? We can never really separate.
So that's the language that gets used.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the red pill, that's from the Matrix.
Yeah.
And it does describe things, but it's also like.
But every generation has those things that influence their thinking growing up, and you can't remove that from your consciousness. It's always going to be there, so it's always going to influence the way that you think about things and your suspicion. So testimony from insiders, many claims originate from individuals who identify themselves as former military personnel, contractors, or intelligence officers. These accounts tend to rely heavily on anecdotal evidence rather than verifiable documentation. So this is where it comes to like you said, Alex, good. But the people that have been talking about it, some of them are just simply conspiracy theorists with a YouTube channel, and they haven't worked for anyone. They've not got any inside knowledge of any particular organisation. They're just throwing this stuff out there. But there are some that do, and that's where it sort of adds the credibility.
And it's because obviously a story that's saying the story and believing it is more entertaining.
Yes.
So I always come back to there's a friend of mine. So there's an urban legend that Charles Manson auditioned for the Monkees, and it's been disproved because he was in prison for a lesser offence.
The Monkees, the band, the TV show.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But it was proved to be bollocks.
Yeah.
Because he was in prison for not the main murders.
Yeah.
He was in prison for something else. So I remember Mark Radcliffe on the radio sort of saying, yeah, it's a shame. He's going, it's romantic to believe, not romantic, but it's people like the idea that it's a true thing. So did you know Charles Manson auditioned for the Monkees?
Yeah.
But it was, but then a friend of mine who had heard that same broadcast had known that it was disproved, he will still say to people, "Oh, you know, Charles Manson auditioned for the Monkees," because the lie is more entertaining.
Yeah.
And I'm a party pooper for saying, well, actually, I think you'll find he was in prison. And so it's a similar thing that with certain, not all of them, but there are some of them where it's like they're saying the lie. They're going further down the line with the ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah.
Because number one, it's because you'll get more followers.
Yes, of course,
because you'll make more money and get more followers. And I think that's part of where Alex Jones has ended up with Turning the Frogs Gay. Because if you were to say, actually, no, it's not Turning the Frogs Gay.
Yeah.
Like who cares? That's not entertaining.
It's Turning the Frogs Gay. That was actually proven. Like it's the hormone imbalances in frogs. Frogs are very susceptible to hormones anyway.
We're going to cover it on another episode.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
but certainly where it ends up with him saying Sandy Hook was not real. So that's you know. But it's because, and that's the thing with quite a lot of them. It snowballs, and it sort of and they lose control. They end up saying a stupid thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unthinkingly, because they've been getting away with it for so long. So Milo Yiannopoulos is one I would come back to.
Milo.
Where he was getting away with it because he was funny and he was clever. He wasn't a total shitbag.
No.
He had
charismatic.
He had skills. He was charismatic, and then you end up saying the daft thing that he said.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what does add to this. And the more charismatic, and these personalities we're talking about are hugely charismatic and just pull people in. It is amazing what charisma can do.
And that's where, so watching some of the Corey Good stuff, it's interesting because he's got skills.
Yeah,
he's an entertaining watch.
Yes,
he makes a mistake when he lets his children be in the broadcast. Their haircuts made me need alien help.
So the evidence from the so-called insiders, one of the most common forms of claimed evidence comes from individuals who say they worked in classified aerospace or military roles. So they describe covert missions to the moon or Mars, advanced spacecraft using exotic propulsion, and cooperation with extraterrestrial beings. Obviously, there's no verifiable evidence of this, but obviously there wouldn't be any verifiable evidence of this, so it's just say so. And it is hard to separate that, isn't it? Because on the one hand, you've got someone who's had quite a legitimate job in a massive institution, let's say NASA, whatever, and we just automatically put a level of credibility on that because you've been part of that institution, but you don't know what their motivation is for coming out and saying those things. Right?
Yeah. And it's where it's interesting. Like, so the things that it's easy to dismiss some of the more ridiculous things. So the stuff I was reading, the time travel stuff, that enters into the world of silliness for me. But when you look at the core of what's being suggested, like nobody would have any doubt that there are things Elon Musk is trying to do.
Yes.
And that there would be plenty of things. A lot of it just makes sense. And he's not even really hiding a lot of it.
No. So, he's quite overt with it. He's literally telling us what he wants to do,
and he's talking about the need to repopulate and so on. Yes. So some of the language he's using, it isn't even covert.
Yeah.
So you can, there are elements of it that you can dismiss, but at the core, and it's not even necessarily about it. If someone was to sort of say, we're trying to do it in a nice way, we're trying to find planets that would support human life because, let's face it, this place is falling apart.
Yeah.
We need a holiday home.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that it becomes, there's often the suggestion that it's global elites and that us plebs we're gonna fry.
Yeah.
But because at the centre of it, there is something potentially well-meaning.
Yeah.
It's just...
It's because it's coming from Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Well, that's all for profit. That's all for, which, let's face it, probably is. But also, whereas if somebody had said this maybe 30 years ago, we would have just dismissed it as a crackpot. Because he is one of the world's richest men, he does have the funds to be able to fund it. And that's what makes it credible to a certain extent. If it's possible at all, there's somebody with the money to go and do it.
Yeah.
Rather than relying on a global body or an agreement between multiple governments and organisations.
Especially the fact that they're talking about, we're going to be going back to the moon for the first time since 1972.
Dark side.
I'm all for that. Why don't we stop visiting the moon?
Well, where the Transformers are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or is it one of the moons of Saturn has got? Is it Tethys or something? They're supposedly rich in nutrients. That nutrients is completely the wrong word there, but it's got the resources that would help us easily get out of the solar system.
Yeah.
I mean, the moon of Titan is
Titan, not yet.
is meant to be.
Yeah.
But that goes back to like the into Marvel comics. Titans. The people live on Titan.
Yeah. And then there's that asteroid in the Astro Book that's got like so many rare metals in it that it would make everyone on Earth a quadrillionaire or something like that. So there's
when we start mining the asteroid belt, like things are going to change vastly.
Yeah.
And with AI taking away everyone's jobs, so it'd be nice to be rich.
And so that's the thing that this level of it is nice and kind of hopeful.
Yes.
And it's just when someone comes in and starts going, "Oh, I was a solar warden."
Yeah, yeah, exactly that. But you are right about that thing of people particularly, let's say men particularly, get to a point where they don't want to shift from their opinion, and they formed this opinion however many years ago. This is what I know. This is what I believe, and therefore, whatever you say, whatever you try and counter this with, this is still what I believe. Right?
Yeah.
My dad still genuinely believes that Walt Disney is Frozen, right? and I remember he used to tell me this, I'm sure you had this the same. When I was a kid, he used to tell me this all the time, and he'd go, "Oh, do you know Walt Disney's Frozen?" You go, "Okay," because he was brought up to believe that, right? And so therefore, I was brought up to believe that until we looked into it for podcast episode. So no, he fucking wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a bloke whose granddad was the first non-Disney family member to be CEO of Disney.
Right.
So it's an insane, and it's tenuous connection. And to my embarrassment, the first time I ever got drunk with him, it was probably question 3 I asked him.
Yeah, of course.
Was. And he was like, "No." and he said it like, that was all he said, but he said it like he'd clearly been asked it so many times. And it was just like, no.
But if he did know, he wouldn't say that, would he?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
It's a frivolous question. Okay, so despite widespread claims, there is no verifiable scientific evidence supporting the existence of a secret space program as described in conspiracy narrative. There are several reasons for this. Engineering constraint. Large-scale space operations require enormous infrastructure funding and workforce coordination. Maintaining total secrecy across thousands of individuals and decades would be extraordinarily difficult. That is true. It would be. I mean, we are talking here about
how difficult it is to cover up an orbital launch.
Yes, it would be pretty difficult. Astronomical observation, modern telescopes, satellite tracking systems, and independent observers around the world monitor space activity closely. Hidden fleets or large off-world installations would likely produce detectable signals or anomalies. It probably is true to say that, isn't it? If a country launched, or somebody from a country launched one of these missions, it would get picked up somewhere, right?
Yeah. In the same way that, the different naval craft that heard the Titan submersible implode.
Yeah.
If you can hear that,
yes,
then you can hear it.
Yeah.
Then you can hear someone launching a rocket.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Pretty
sure.
loud.
Yeah, it's pretty loud. Someone's going
For
to
a sustained amount of time.
Yeah.
You'd have to drop all the Epstein files.
It's not going to be
someone to ignore that.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be some bloke in a telescope in France going, "What's that?" There's going to be a system picking this up.
Sorry, we built the biggest whoopee cushion of all time to cover up the biggest launch of all time.
That would be a fun way to do it, though. If someone did do that.
Well, what's CERN for?
Well, yeah. Absolutely. Lack of physical evidence, credible proof such as validated documents, materials, or independently verified photographs has not emerged despite extensive public scrutiny. I sort of would say is more credible. It wouldn't be, would it? I mean, these things are incredibly secretive. And also people, even if you are sort of like leaking information, you still sign an NDA probably somewhere. It's going to be watertight, or someone's going to take you out if you start leaking that sort of stuff, I think. Yeah.
Well, particularly because I was 9 or 10 when Challenger blew up, and so you've got these very significant, horrendous setbacks within the space program that are very public and again that's up there with the Kennedy assassination.
Oh, absolutely.
Images that are sort of ingrained in my memory, and so that thing of wanting to keep it as quiet as possible because you want not only do you want to get it right, but you also want to protect your funding.
Yes.
So there's both an optimistic and a cynical view of it.
Yeah.
That there are things we don't know because if they're seen to publicly massively fuck it up, then confidence in the space program is hugely damaged.
Absolutely, yeah. And fair, this is the same with a lot of things as well, right? So, there's many things that we'll never know and papers that will never get released.
I remember there was a mate of mine was telling me like that, they reckon there was probably a nuclear reactor somewhere in Greenwich. And it's never been, I don't think it's ever been officially, but that people had like looked at the trace radiation.
Yep.
And had said, like, almost certainly connected to the Naval College, there was something happening here.
Yeah.
But for all that it's I understand why they're not going to, of course, fess up to that.
Yes.
It's in an ideal world we would all know.
Yeah.
But it's
But if you were in charge and you knew this was going to cause panic, would you say? You probably would say no.
Yeah.
Because to maintain discourse, right? You wouldn't. Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't.
And it becomes more of like I get that one. I don't know why the files on David Kelly have to be closed for 70 years.
Yep. Yeah.
Well,
One day,
probably assassinated. But anyway.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like when they finally release it in whatever year, they'll just be obviously.
But no one will care by that.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
We'll all be dead.
Yeah. So the alleged secret space program occupies a unique place in the intersection of the conspiracy theory, science fiction, and cultural imagination. Rooted in historical secrecy and fueled by digital media, it has evolved into a complex belief system with diverse interpretations. No credible scientific evidence supports the existence of hidden interplanetary fleets or covert extraterrestrial alliances. The persistence of these narratives highlights broader social dynamics, including distrust of institutions, fascination with space exploration, and the enduring appeal of hidden knowledge. So, Steve, is the secret space program real?
It is 5% real. There are some
elements of it.
The secret space program, as trademarked by Corey Good, is not real.
Okay,
but there are space programs that happen to be secret.
Okay, fine. So you're 5%, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's things going on, but nobody has gone 20 years protecting the solar system and then travel back in time. Like the weirdest gap year ever. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like there are, at the center of any fiction is an interesting truth.
Yes.
And so there are secret space programs.
Yeah.
But the majority of what you're going to see on YouTube is not them.
Yeah, absolutely. David?
Yes, there is a secret space program.
And what percentage are you sure?
80%.
Okay, so not 88%.
Not 88%.
Okay, fine.
That's an esoteric number, and I don't want to go there.
All right, fair enough.
There you go.
I think there is a secret space program, but it is mostly designed for Elon Musk to get his cock sucked. That is basically.
But it's still a space program. No.
Yeah. He wants to nut in zero gravity. That's
right.
Who doesn't? Okay. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
He wants to find that zero G spot.
Okay. I'm going to go somewhere between 5 and 80%. I'm going to go the midpoint. Steve, would you like to look at this camera, tell people where they can find you and follow you? That kind of
hello. You can follow me at Steve Hall on Instagram. And the thing that I would like to plug is my wife's book. So my wife is doing research. I love the changing nature of the word research because you can do actual research that needs to be scientifically driven or research, like looking stuff up on Wikipedia, which is what I've done.
Yeah.
Yes.
My wife is researching a condition called misophonia, which is a disorder where you suffer an extreme emotional reaction to repetitive sounds and noises.
Catherine Mather has that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's one of it's surprising. It's having its moment.
Yeah.
And so she is trying to work out how therapy can help that. And so it's lots of data-driven stuff. She's written a book called Sounds Like Misophonia, which gives coping techniques for people who have got it, and the results are very promising. And we are putting a show together, like trying to do a comedy science show, which is currently called If You Loved Me, You'd Breathe Quietly.
Nice, great name. Great
because my breathing drives her up the fucking wall.
We will put a link to this in the show notes.
Yes.
Very good. I feel bad doing a shit joke now, but I'm going to do it anyway.
No, go for it. No.
Would you like a space colonization joke to end the podcast?
Oh, please.
Okay. Absolutely.
Why is it so hard to colonize space? Because of meteorites.
For a second there, I didn't get it, and then I got it.
Yeah.
The
banger,
Oh,
right?
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Meteors.
Yeah. I would, if I'd seen that written down, I would have been quicker to. It's one of those.
Here you go, Steve.
Yeah.
You enjoy that. That's the end of the podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Please give us a little 5-star rating wherever you get your podcasts. And if you'd like to help support us further, why not check out patreon.com/BelievePod for exclusive episodes, early access, and ad-free listening. Remember, we love you.